I just want to welcome everybody to what we're calling the Arkana integration, which very interestingly had the initials AI. And I have something to say about that in a second. But the Arkana integration mastermind. And for those of you that have been coming along for, God, it's been quite some time. We've been running a monthly mastermind that we always referred to as AIM. And we used to call it the Ayahuasca Integration Mastermind. And I got to be honest with you, we never really understood why we did that. It just fell into place like that. But then, you know, the extraordinary minds over at Arkana came up with a new look and a new name, and it's just perfect. And it's called AI, Arkana Integration. And you know what's interesting about AI in general? If you think about it, AI stands for artificial intelligence, but I don't think anybody here would consider that what we have tapped into through Arkana as artificial. Does anybody think that what we're doing is artificial? I don't think so. So there's AI, there's artificial intelligence, and then there's something called, HI, which is human intelligence, but then there's Arkana intelligence, right? And we're going to talk about integration today, but I just think that that's really, really cool. And I don't know, well, Billy probably thought of something like that because Billy has that ability to think deeply into that. So anyway, my name is Dr.JC Doornick. I go by the Dragon, and it's just such an honor and a privilege to be here today. And there's some really, really exciting things happening for us and through us. And you guys are about to hear about that. Because this gathering that we're having is just taking on a whole new, just magic tone. And you guys have a lot to look forward to. But at its core, we just love gathering, at least once a month like this. And there's going to be some opportunities to gather more. And for those of you that have been coming along with us, it's just been magical. It's just such a wonderful thing. If you are part of the, I guess we call Arkana alumni. But even if you've experienced retreats in other locations, this is a welcome psychological safe haven for all. And then there's also all of you that might be chiming in that, like all of us, are on the outside looking in with open curiosity. Maybe you're feeling a little bit of a calling of sorts. And you might not even know what that calling is, but anybody here that has been to Arkana and has been on retreat, they could probably tell you a thing or two about that calling, but they probably won't. They'll probably just let you go through the process. So if there are any guests here checking things out for the first time, I would just say, I'm excited for you. And another thing is I guess I would say I have a lot of respect for you, that you have somehow come to a place in your life where you've allowed yourself to step away from the noise and just listen to what is actually happening. And, that's how it all begins. So welcome, everybody. Welcome to our monthly gathering. And what I want to share with you is a little bit of, something that is going on in my life that I want to share with you. And then we're going to hear a little bit of the visionary component of where Arkana is moving with a specific focus on integration. And then we're going to hear about some exciting stuff that we can all look forward to. I like to look at what we have here. And this is an interesting way to look at it. I like to look at what we have here as an unfair advantage. And what I mean by that is we know something, if you have experienced, what happens at an Arkana retreat, you've tapped into something that most people don't know about. Some people refer to it as the world within the world, but you've tapped into a different frequency and information that unfortunately most of the world, the greater majority of the world, has never had. So that's why I say that this group and this frequency that we all have tapped into is an unfair advantage, but it's only unfair if we don't let anyone know about it. So that was just a interesting way of saying you are all welcome. We in integration process, we say don't preach. That's not what I'm inviting you to do. I'm inviting you to just let everyone know about our little unfair advantage and make it less unfair. Because I just love meeting with you guys, and I've made so many friends in this group, and that's part of the integration process. You know, it's very easy to get swept away in the outside world when you're not having the opportunity to tap in. So very, very excited to see all of you. So just one quick thing I want to share, and then I'm going to turn it over to Jose, just from my personal experience. I've been working with plant medicine, well, specifically through Arkana. I've had my experiences before that, but I don't think I really started working with plant medicine until I met Jose and went to the jungle. But what's interesting is the evolution that I've gone through, and I don't know how many people can resonate with this. And I think that this will set the tone for what I believe Arkana's stand is on the process of integration. But when I first left, and this is not my fault, and if this is where you're at, this is normal. But I was still looking at integration as an outside job. And what I mean by that is I thought at the time, is, you know, I hadn't started to do the work yet, but I thought at the time that the goal of integration was for me to come home to this real world. Because we hear people all the time say, you know, I'm trying to integrate what I've learned into my life at home. And what's funny is now where I'm at, and I'm like, oh, so what you're trying to do is integrate in an unintegrated world. You know, that might take a while. Right? So, but still, you know, I'm pretty stubborn, and I said, I'm going to figure it out. So I started doing the work. I got deeply entrenched in working with, you know, my brothers, Jose and Billy, and, you know, becoming friends with the likes of Valeria, who is just this soul whispering through the world. She's in India right now. And, you know, I thought I was doing pretty good. I was doing pretty good, like, meaning I thought that the world was falling in line the way that I intended it. But that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case at all. So what I want to share with you is something that I've discovered, and then something that I've also discovered makes Arkana unique. Because I've also had access to a lot of people and friends that have had other experiences, and I don't post judgment, but I listen, and I can see that what Jose's doing, what Billy's doing, where Arkana's going, and what they provide is very, very different, very unique. And what that is, you know, when I made my biggest breakthrough, it was when I realized that the information that I had gathered there, you know, this frequency that I tapped into, was not something that I was supposed to take and create a change on the outside. What I realized, and this is where I'm at right now, and it's a beautiful place to be. It's a beautiful place to be. And that's, I guess, me paying it forward. I'd love you to experience it. I realized that it's an inside job. It's an inside job. And, you know, for those of you that know me, I wear glasses that don't have lenses. And that's a testament to what I gained from Arkana, is I don't need them anymore. And what I learned through this process, through my experiences of working with plant medicine, through the mentorship of Jose and Billy, and all of the facilitators there, and the coaches, and just all the wonderful people associated that just listen. They kind of let you think what you think, and then you find your way to realizing that what I really gained was a new perspective, a new set of lenses to now interface with the world with. That was the integration process that took place inside of me. So the only thing that changed is how I started to look at the world. Isn't that an interesting thing? One of the things that I've been coaching myself in my own walk of life for 20 years is I always teach people that if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So that's my biggest breakthrough and discovery is through working with plant medicine. I was able to change the way I looked at things. And the side effect of that is the outside world began to change. Isn't that interesting? And can anybody relate to that? Does anybody resonate with that? Is that going on in anybody's process? Feel free to use the chat and chime in. We're going to all have a chance to talk. So back to the last part, and we're going to go to Jose. This is what I think sets Arkana apart, and I think Billy's going to really like this. So what I think sets Arkana apart from other experiences is their ability to guide people to see things that are already inside them. Isn't that interesting to think like, if you're going to teach me to see things, I would think that you're going to teach me to see things outside. But in Arkana, you learn to see things that are already inside you. So you just got too busy looking outside for things. Anybody relate to that? Any head nods there? Okay, great. So it's easy, to think that way because it's comfortable, because it's the way we've all been programmed to look on the outside, right? It's comfortable. But Arkana takes the idea of thinking outside of the box one step further. Here's the part you're going to like, Billy. So Arkana takes the idea, where does growth take place? Outside the comfort zone, right? So growth takes place with an outside the box way of thinking, but that's the normal way of thinking. That's the comfortable way. But what Arkana taught me to do was look in a new place that we haven't been looking, to turn over a different rock and look under a different stone. And that is to look inside the box. Ooh, we're going to look inside the box. And that's what integration is going to be. So it's my honor and privilege to have any role in this as a humble servant to a very, very big mission. So what I'd love to do is introduce you to the Chief Dharma Officer and just, visionary and founder of Arkana Spiritual Center. And just a guy, when people ask me what Jose is about, and I just said, he's just a real guy. He's just a real person. You know what I mean? I mean, he's a little above and real because he's extraordinary. But, when you meet Jose behind closed doors and he's not in front of groups of people, he's the same. He's the same. He's just a genuine good person that I really, truly believe wants to take this mission to a whole new place for everybody. So I hope I did a good job, Jose, but I want to welcome Jose. And Jose, I'd love you to share with everybody a little bit of the vision of where we're going, because this is a new page we're turning here. And this group is going to get way much bigger, right? So you guys are all in the first, launch of this. So Jose, tell us a little bit about where we're going and your vision for integration in that process.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jose, for those of you that don't know me. And it's a pleasure to be with you all this morning or this afternoon. Basically, the vision of Arkana, in a way, we want to, once I started working with plant medicine, I had no idea that I was going to be running retreats, for a living. But I guess the universe had other plans for me. And I said, I want to create a place, a space where people like myself feel comfortable, feel safe, and they can really be vulnerable and open up to really accomplish the healing they're seeking for. No, I believe the world is due to have more places like Arkana, where people can come and I say more than learn, it's about remembering. It's about remembering who they truly are, which is very simple, which is pure love. And some people have, grown up in circumstances that make that process of remembering hard. But once they come and they experience the world of plants, helped by the shamans, things change. So really our vision is to make this available for more and more people. And not only that, not only for people to come and experience it once, but really have some lasting change in their life. And the way you do that is through integration and through community building. And this is, I would say, the two initiatives we're, been growing in the last few years. Community where people feel comfortable being themselves and showing and sharing what they were born with the rest of the world. So in a nutshell, that's it. It's making it easily accessible and creating this community around it that we can, grow exponentially and people can touch other people's lives who may not ever come and do ayahuasca, but just by showing them this kindness and love, things will start to change.
Jose, what is, you weren't prepared for this question, but I'm compelled to ask it. What is your hope for the world? Because I mean, what you're doing, you're creating this space for all of us to have these extraordinary breakthroughs. And once we go through the integration process, we are, a dominant force for a positive thing in the world. So you have to have some sort of a vision for the world. I know, I don't know how many people know this. Jose's not just the leader of Arkana, but he's also a father. He's a father to many of us, but he also actually has children. He's a husband. What's your hope for the world?
That people learn to live differently, learn to value, helping others, being of service, and introducing new values to their ecosystem in a way, more than it's a redefinition of success. One time I heard that rich people is not who has the most, but is who needs the least to really enjoy a happy, fulfilled, simple life. No? And yes, of course, money helps, no? Because through money we can do social work and we can create projects and so forth. But money is not happiness. And so it's the first time I came to the Amazon, one of the things that amazed me was how happy people lived and how little they had. And I'm like, I want to expand that sort of vision of the world outside, where you're not concerned as to accumulating wealth for the sake of accumulating wealth, because we were ingrained with this thought that, in order to be successful, you had to make this amount of money, So I don't know if it's a idyllic world, but like I like to live a simple life. To me, what satisfies me is to see people transform their lives, getting back to their true selves. And so that's where we're, putting in all of our efforts and trying to make this easy for people to get to that point.
What's interesting about your story is where, the process, the transformation you went to find your way here, because all of these things that you're sharing with people, you went through yourself. I mean, you had the, educational accolades, you had the money, and you lived that whole life. And you, as I recall because I interviewed you, that you just realized it didn't make you happy. So, I just want everybody to understand that, Jose is somebody that's kind of like gone through the mud a little bit. So, if you're in the mud right now, it's not necessarily a bad thing, as you can see, no mud, no lotus, as they say. But it's interesting to look at how this was all created. It was created
in a way,
from experience.
Yeah, in a way, I grew up buying someone else's story. It was a story that my parents sold to me, society sold to me, and which in my mind meant marrying a good woman, having lots of kids, making lots of money. And in my mind, that was the key to success. And what I found is that when I checked all those boxes, something was missing. I felt hollow, empty, and depressed. And it was then that my life changed. I had to go through that crisis to find my way to the plants, and the plants opened my eyes, and said, you need to craft your own story. You cannot buy someone else's.
So I would love to move to this handsome fella next to you, but I want to do it in a different way, because I'm a big Billy fan, and the first time I ever met him was him playing that harp, and that was like one of the craziest moments of my life. But rather than me introducing Billy, what I think would be really cool is tell me how you met Billy and how he ended up becoming your dharma brother that's taking this to the next level. How did that actually happen? Because from what I understand, I think Billy somehow came on a trip and never left or something like that. So what's the truth behind that story?
Something like that. Like we met
November.
It was in November, and we connected immediately, no? And a couple months later in January, he was already here in Arkana, no? And Billy has been like a central part of Arkana and the growth and really looking after ceremonies and facilitation, all that. And this was a few years ago, and we're still here.
So there's a lot more to that story than that, I know. But, you know, just from my experience, Billy and I became great friends, and we started doing a lot of the integration work. Just we wanted to help the cause, and it's coming to this new place right now. But what I've watched is how, you know, this relationship between Billy and Jose has just continued to just grow and grow from a place of love with the same, you know, vision for the world. But Billy has taken on a completely, you know, new role. And after doing a lot of facilitation and a lot of work. So Billy, I'd love you to just share with everybody a little bit about, you know, where Arkana is going and what your role is in this whole process of integration. And by the way, I love the facial hair.
My role, I am, hi everybody. I'm the Dharma officer here at Arkana. And we were having a conversation the other day, and we were going to have a thing called Inter Arkana, which is the it's like all the staff come on retreat, and we have like a retreat which is just staff and just people. And we were going to go to Maestra's community, which is deep in the jungle, and the idea of that was back to the roots, so where this all kind of originates, where the medicine originates, etc. And we were having a conversation after Sapo ceremony, and Jose came up with this phrase, which is what I'm going to use, and I'm going to keep using because I can explain very simply your question, which is this idea of level serval. So the seed phrase for the tree that is Arkana, with many branches and many leaves, is level serval. So my role here now, and my mission in general in my own life, is born from that phrase, that seed, which is how do you level serval, and how do you create loving, positive change in the world? And obviously Arkana is one project that does that. So that's my role, how to spread that message and how to create that impact in the world in general.
So you and I were talking the other day about kind of the frequency of this conversation, and you said something, and I'd love you to expand on it, and maybe share a little bit about what the future holds for the integration process for Arkana. But first, this idea of we're in the process of integration. You know, is it a moving, changing thing, or has it evolved for you, and where are we going?
The integration of integration is like, how can we best prepare people to come to plant medicine, and then how can we best serve them in their journey onward? And so the integration starts from the moment that you make the decision to be willing or wanting enough to reconnect with yourself and make positive change in your life. It happens while you are here. A percent of it happens while you are here, and then it continues for the rest of your life, moment to moment to moment to moment, for your whole life. And so we've created like a new integration structure, which starts from before the time guests get here, obviously while they are here, and then onwards with integration coaching. I'm gonna invite Jose to talk more about that now, that structure and how that's gonna work. and then let Valeria introduce herself as well, who's one of the integration coaches, and then Shantanu, who will be coming to all the calls onwards, will introduce himself also next week. And we can talk about this more then as well.
Yeah, like something that like first time I came to Arkana about 13 years ago. I came on my first trip in July, and then I returned in October. And when I came back in October, I realized that I was back to square one. And what happened to me was that when I went home, I had no idea what integration was. And I enrolled myself in the same routines. I did exactly the same things I used to do in my life before ayahuasca. And as you can imagine, I ended up in the same spot, no? So this is why we've really taking a closer look at integration. What does that mean? And like Billy's saying, it starts before you come to the retreat. It starts with a preparation to really hone in on the reasons why people come and what are the results that they want to achieve when they come. During the retreat, it's important for people to come up almost with a plan as to what they're going to do when they leave the retreat. And it's not about making the drastic changes. It's about what are the incremental changes or the small changes that they can make in their lives that are going to have enormous impact down the road. I always use this analogy. I said, if you got two parallel lines, if you adjust one of it, just a few degrees, 5 degrees, and you draw them out into the future, they end up in radically different spots. And it's about finding those incremental changes in your life. It's about the practices, whether it may be picking up meditation, yoga, exercise, nutrition. So it's not about really reinventing your life. It's about looking at it with a different lens, maybe using your glasses with a different perspective, and finding what those are. So after we work with people here and helping them craft this plan, it's about following up and having the discipline to actually execute the things that you say you want to do, or you should do. And I think this call certainly is going to be very important, but we're also going to offer additional calls. Some other calls will be in smaller groups in the cohorts that together with a group of people that they did the retreat with. And there's also going to be additional support, having coaches that can offer one-on-one consulting or coaching. And Valeria is one of those coaches, and Shantanu is going to be another one. So I think at this point we can introduce Valeria or have her introduce herself, and talk more about what are sort of the techniques that she's envisioning for this integration process.
Hello, everyone. Namaste from beautiful India. So good to see all of you. I see some familiar faces and some not so familiar. So yes, hi everyone. So I'll be one of the coaches, like Jose mentioned, and I'm myself at the moment in an ashram in India because I was myself there once when I needed help, and I was trying to find all the ways how to kind of get back to the peace within. And for me, yoga was one of the huge helps that helped me to kind of get that stability and find my peace on a daily basis. And through personal sadhana, to consistent practice in my daily life, I kind of found the way to keep up that vibration high even after the retreats. So this is why in Arkana, the integration is really important, because people come to a retreat and they feel amazing, like I did. I felt amazing for a couple of months maybe, and then I started getting back to my old habits, and not really knowing what to do or how to integrate those lessons and teaching that I got from the ceremonies, from the medicine. And it wasn't until I remembered, okay, actually, I have my breath always available there for me. I have always my cushion and my meditation practice. I have my asana practice, the physical practice. I have the diet. I have people, the community to support me. So there's actually many, many tools that we can use to integrate what we're learning into our daily life. And what is the most important is to keep it consistent, to not fall back for a long time and not connect with that higher vibration that is always available for us. So what we want to provide in Arkana through these, you can call it a mentorship or one-on-one sessions, whether it's just someone that you want to talk to and get some guidance, or to have, for example, a private breathing class or meditation technique to go deeper into your personal practice. Yeah, we are there for you to help you on that path and to really get that into your everyday life and to really understand what is how can you integrate that into your everyday life, not just only when you're on a retreat to feel good, but to really have that lasting impact on your life. So yeah, I don't know if you want me to tell more, or maybe this is enough for now.
No, I mean, first of all, we're so fortunate to have you in general, but to also have the ability to hear you check in from India. I mean, and let's not forget that José and Billy are in Peru, you know, not to knock Peru down, you know, so this is truly an international call. But what's so amazing about this, and I think everybody's picking up on it, it's one thing to make mention of something, but it's another thing to provide the vehicle and the tools to facilitate it. And that's just one of the major differences that I notice in Arkana. And José, I don't remember the exact percentages, but I remember you always mention during the integration process, you always mention that the actual retreat, I think you say, is like 10% of the experience. Or what was the exact way you put that? It's just indicating that the work outside is very, very much part of the experience as a whole.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, maybe a little bit more, but in reality, more than half of the work takes place outside. Like I noticed, like before we started thinking about integration, with this importance, I said probably 95% of the people that come to Arkana experience some significant change. And then I found that I would say a big chunk of that, maybe out of the 100%, maybe only 60 people kept with those changes onwards, no? And the people we lost, in a way, it was because of lack of integration. It's because they went back to the same things in their life and same environment. And so it's about trying to have as many of the people as the 95% that can really take those changes and keep them on forever, no? So that's what, in my mind, that's what integration is about. It's about truly making the most of what they receive through plant medicine.
And as you said before, one of the key things, it's not just this thing that happens after. You also spoke about the idea that it begins, or as Billy said, the moment that you make that, you know, you stop looking at it in contemplation, but you actually say, I'm going to do this. And it begins there. But correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are also going to facilitate the beginning of the integration process before the event.
Yes, correct. I mean, people that book a retreat, we're going to have like a Zoom call, which is going to serve as an introduction, but we start speaking to them about preparation. And about proper preparation, and it's not only intention setting, it's also has to do with the diet and many other practices that we're gonna get people for them to prepare themselves to come on a retreat. And because some people are here only for 1 week. And so we want to make sure that they make the most of their time here. And it's as productive as they can.
And one of the things, and I've had the opportunity or the luxury of experiencing it myself, but what we're starting to see now, and maybe I'm going to put an idea into the minds of all these people listening, is that we're seeing the beginnings of, I guess we call them reunion retreats of sorts, where people are coming back with their group, you know, and not just having a Facebook or a FaceTime every now and then coming back. So what's been your observation of what that's like when people come back and have that next experience together? It's a unique experience, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the sharing the space with people you've done a retreat with before, it's completely different. The results I see they're amplified because the trust is there, the connection is there, and it's easier to go deeper with the medicine when that happens. That's what I've observed. I believe.
Yeah, there's there's many forms of medicine, and one of them is community. So when you come with a community of people or people that you have bonded with, the bond gets stronger, and your understanding of unity, of the I am you and you are me, we are one, actually strengthens. You feel more supported, more connected, which is a great foundation also for integration, because instead of feeling like now I'm out in this world alone, you're bonded to those people and you strengthen your bonds. You obviously have communities. We're doing a call before we're gonna have like a week. It's like the people who book the retreat, they will have a call, a pre-integration call. They will have then a post-integration call after they finish their retreat, and then they will have like obviously one with all of us, which is just the principle is to build a community so we can help support each other, so we can serve one another and spread that service to everybody.
Billy, what would you say is at stake, meaning at stake for the individual that I guess we could say gets it, that does the integration work, you know, which you guys are going to make easier. But what is the potential that somebody has when they successfully integrate?
One of the things that plant medicine gives you, which we often talk about, is a remembering of the divine within, the guru in the temple of your heart, like an experience of the love within, or the essence of the soul, which is love. And then, for example, like the integration approach, obviously Valera is a Kriya teacher, for example. Shantanu is also a yoga teacher. Is like, and what's yoga? Yoga is union. So actually it's unifying body, mind, and spirit, which is the same as saying unifying with this divinity, with this loving frequency and vibration. So the consequence of integrating well to reconnecting with the love within is that no matter what you have or where you go, you experience a life through the frequency of love, which is to say, I experience a life through as my supreme self, which is my love self, and then I live a life through love, moment to moment for my life.
I love it. You know, it just reminds me, and I think we've spoken about this before. One of the most beautiful achievements ever in art was Michelangelo's David. And when he was asked how he created it, because he just started off looking at a block of marble, and he said he created David by chipping away everything that was not David. You know, it just sounds like that's what we're talking about. So one of the things that we're always going to do in these masterminds is we want to hear from everybody. This is a great opportunity. You've got Valeria here, you've got Billy, you've got Jose. You can ask questions or share something that you're feeling right now. If somebody's new here on the outside looking in, great time to ask questions. But I see one of my favorite humans in the world. Well, I'm not really sure if he's human. I think he's evolved. I don't know what we'll call him now, but that's Ty. So Ty, go ahead. I see your hand raised.
What's up, guys? Always so grateful to even have these calls and be on these calls. I love connecting with you guys. One question that you said at the end, you know, what's that potential look like? Speaking from my experience with Arkana and being on a very steady course of 2 years of integration and somehow finding a way of more acceptance of oneself and finding connection with source. I completely agree. When Arkana is your trampoline, your jumping off point, and it's up to you to determine whether you're going to land on the ground again or if you're going to spread your wings and fly. And having that ability of choice was something that I never thought I would ever encounter in my entire life, especially with the darkness that I lived in. But I love the question that you said or asked was, what's the potential look like? I'd even dare to say your potential has potential. It's so unlimited. It's once you get to that next level, the new phase of life, the new chapter of yourself, there's just more chapters and more phases ahead. It's like in your head was your maximum potential. So remember, your potential has potential, because if you're going to get there, then it's going to go even further. And then the other question you asked is, what's at stake? I cannot say authenticity and genuine. It's your life here. It's your life is at stake. We have an opportunity to experience this human experience for a very short amount of time. And for a lot of us, me, I'm such a visual person. A lot of people love reading or listening to audiobooks. Every one of those things that you love, it's because you love the story. But so often we look back at our own lives and we wake up, we go to work, we relax for a second, we go to sleep, and we do it over and over again. If that was the podcast, that was the movie that you were watching, you know in your heart of hearts, you would not be subscribing to them. So why are we not living our lives the way that we listen to these stories, these podcasts, these movies? That we should be writing new chapters every single day. And for me, that was the integration that I received in those 2 years following Arkana. And ever since, it's new experience after new experience after new relationship and getting to know so many people in this community. But I will say, I love communities of medicine. The biohack and cheat for Arkana is.
You just muted yourself at the worst time. You got to unmute. You said
Oh,
the
no,
biohack.
Yes, the biohack, the hack of community, the medicine is all you have to do is simply befriend Billy and Jose when you go there, which I think is impossible for you not to. But every time you go there, there will be a sense of community. And if I see some familiar faces, even better.
I love that. And what Ty just reminded us is that, you know, there really is no maximum potential, because if you max out your potential, you just unveil a new maximum potential. You know, it just keeps going. You know, growth never, ever stops, you know, even after life, I believe. Thanks so much, Ty. Love hearing from you. And I see that Nick has his hand raised. Go for it, Nick.
Yeah, just had a question for Jose, and it's because JC, you brought up the reunion retreats, which I find very interesting because I've been to many retreats and I've enjoyed a couple of them. I've gone back with some of the people that I've met there, and was wondering if it's possible in the future to do like an alumni retreat where maybe you set aside a week a year and you send out invites to people who have attended 2 or more Arkana retreats, just to get people who have had the experience and get them together. And just because it's a little different, because if you've been to 4 or 5 retreats and then just about everyone there is doing it for the first time, my experience is a lot different than somebody who is doing it for the first time. So I just think it might be a fun thing to do.
It's an interesting question, Jose. He almost got me thinking that you and Billy would like have the ability to say, ooh, let's put this group together. But how would you answer that?
That's exactly what I told Billy. I'm like, oh, I like the idea.
Sign
Of
me
course.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can
that's
I
a
get on
great-
that list?
Yeah. Greer. Yeah. No, it definitely makes sense. And it's more the same. It's more community building, and it's enjoying the space with people who, they've been here before. They know exactly, what can be expected and ceremonies. And yeah, I think it's a wonderful idea.
We'll do it next year.
And well, actually, it's gonna be twice a year. We're gonna have like a first semester, second semester week.
I like it. Thank you.
I think you're going to need a bigger facility for that retreat. And for somebody that's new here or listening to this as a recording, I just want to, take this opportunity and say that, equally magical is how these relationships that you're hearing about were formed. So just think about that first experience that you're going to go on. You're probably spending a lot of time wondering what it's going to be like and all that. But what you don't understand is that your life is going to be forever changed by the people that you meet. I see people here in this Zoom right now that I know that I will have with me for the rest of my life. And I know that there's others coming. So just so you know, that's probably one of the most amazing experiences, how you're just going to say, how ironic is it that I'm here at the same time as you? You'll say that over and over and over again. So we have about 12 minutes left. Okay, I see a hand raised. Trevor, go for it.
Yeah. So speaking of alumni, speaking of all these things, my name's Trevor. I'm in Austin, Texas now. I was at the Aikido's location last October. Completely life-changing. Couldn't have asked for more. Couldn't have asked for better. Wasn't easy, but it was very meaningful in a lot of ways. I'm going to the Sacred Valley location in October, and I know not to carry expectations or anything like that, but there is a funny question I have when we talk about this alumni or the people that haven't done it. What was your thoughts or for anyone at the host here of your second time making that physical journey to go back? I'm curious if there was a story anyone could tell there or anything that kind of was, yeah, I think that's just something I'm thinking about. It's almost like you can't outdo an experience, but at the same time, I can't expect anything more or less. So it's just kind of curiosity that it's coming from.
Let me just clarify it just before we let somebody answer. Are you asking somebody that has gone on a second trip? It's not necessarily about knowing who's going to be there, but what were their thoughts about going again? Is that what you're asking? Or
yeah, sorry for the confusion. Yeah, so for someone who made the decision to go for their second journey, let's call it, so second 1 week stay or whatever, I'm curious about hearing about that. Thank you.
I am not going to be that person because I've spoken enough. So does somebody have their hand raised that is addressing that? I see Ryan and Nick have their hand raised. Do you guys wanted to speak to that or no? Go for it, Nick, and then we'll go to you, Ryan.
Yeah, that's a very interesting topic because the first retreat, I didn't really take it very seriously. I didn't really have the respect for it. I just kind of thought, out of everything I've done in my life, it's just like, this is just going to be something fun, whatever, no big deal. And so I didn't follow the diet. I didn't do any meditations. I literally changed nothing. And then I just got on a plane and went to the retreat. So of course, first ceremony, I'm the first one throwing up. And I'm just like, wow, this is completely unexpected. So it really kicked my ass. So I decided 3 months later that I was going to go back, and I was just like, okay, now this is going to be no problem. I'm going to actually take the time I'm going to follow the diet, and I'm going to follow it for like a month. I'm going to get into this, this meditation practice where I'm going to meditate daily. I'm going to do yoga daily. And I said, I'm really going to connect this time. And it's going to work out perfectly. But I had those expectations and those expectations couldn't be more wrong. I mean, I got there and it just was like, a complete 180. It was a much more challenging experience than the first one. I remember saying to somebody, it's just like, I don't understand. This was so unexpected. And I thought I did everything right. I did all the preparation, and it just absolutely kicked my ass even worse than the first time. So I think having no expectations is the best way to go at it. It's just, don't think you're going to kill it when you're not going to kill it.
This is a very interesting question. I'd love to hear Billy's take on this. You know, Billy, how would you advise somebody that is wondering that to approach their second time?
I think that's actually a really good perspective, is to come with no expectation. Like, to some degree, you're gonna know what to expect in terms of how the retreat is structured, how to if anything, there's nothing like your first time, but then what was the phrase Ty was saying? Like,
Potential has.
the potential has potential, right? So it's like you experience your the first one fresh, and you make all these people. The second one's different, but it's like you come with some experience, but then it's actually a new experience because it's all with the same people. So your sensation of experience is actually still the first time you go. So not to come with no expectation, to take it just as it is, and take it as like a new experience of an experience, because actually you haven't experienced it before. Like, because how many of you have come here with a retreat full of just the same people? None of you. So actually it's a completely new experience in itself. And that's also life. Like, that you do is a new experience of itself. Like, we have attachments and expectations based on the past or the view, but every moment is a new moment. And so enjoy it for what it is, as a new experience that will be, without any expectations, and you're sure to have a good time.
And then what I would add to that is that in this line of work, there's no finish line. There's always more. It's like a never-ending onion that you keep peeling the layers. And it's here to go deeper with the work once you're trusting that the space is a safe space, and the people running the ceremonies are people that know exactly what they're doing. So that helps, and knowing that there's always new things to learn.
You know, what's interesting that I can share with that, I mean, all that's changed, Trevor, and this is some of the integration work. If you think about it, the only thing that's changed from your first trip to this one is your perspective, because your perspective has grown because you've had an experience, right? And perception, looking at it, comes from perspective, you know? So you're going to get to a place one day where you'll live in a no man's land, neither here nor there. And, you know, I recently, I think it was not too long ago, I remember hearing Billy, who's been to a couple of ceremonies, you know, talk about one in particular way down the road that was extraordinary and something like he's never experienced before. So I would just be as excited as you were the first time, and recognize that you're not going to go to the same place. You know, you might go to a completely new place. Oh, Luna, let's hear from you.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say very quickly, because in my experience, the way it worked was, I went to Arkana without any expectation. I just boom, and was there. Actually, José made that happen. He probably don't remember it, but he did help me with that. But for me, what worked for me was, what I did is I integrated what the medicine gave me. You know, what I tried to do actually was, how do I say that? I started to continuing to reflect on and learn from what the medicine provided for me during the ceremonies. So during my meditations, you know, I continue to reflect on that, and started, you know, as life continued for me, I did hold my practice of meditation throughout, but in a sense, what I'm trying to say is once if we are able to do that, I know it's difficult because it was really difficult, but if I kept it on, and for me, looking for a second one, it's just like a continuation because I took it as the medicine kind of was healing me because it is said ayahuasca gives you what you need. So for me, she gave me that medicine, and what she gave me, when I tried to reflect on that, I just took it as when I went to the doctor and I go sick with a cold, he gives me something, that prescription for that particular thing. So for me, I saw ayahuasca, like what she showed me is what I needed at that time. So I continue, reflecting on that and seeing how that, integrate that in my life. So the second time is just like a continuation of like looking for other answers from that. That's what it did to me. And it's still working because it's still working on that. So it's basically we're working on ourselves. That thing that we went initially there for, I believe that it will continue to work within you until you find it, you realize it, you remember things. So that's what I wanted to point out on that.
Beautiful.
That was an amazing perspective. Thank you. And thank you, everyone.
Yeah, she usually has an amazing perspective, you'll find. Just one thing that I think is a lot of fun to do is whenever you find yourself wondering about something or thinking about something or having expectations or being curious, another fun thing to recognize is if you think about it, that's your egoic structure. That's your body doing that. If you were just a pure soul, of the divine, as Billy would say, you're just a source of love. Like for those of you that did have done Sapo, just remember when you were in Sapo, were you like wondering about things and asking questions, or were you just like, whoa, right? So there's two versions of us all. So it's fun in the integration process too, to catch yourself using your mind too much, but second trip, my guess is that it's going to be extraordinary and you'll come back and tell us all about it. So we're kind of at the top of the hour. I want to give it to Jose and Billy. By the way, you can see that I have a microphone. We're recording this in my podcast studio with the idea of maybe having this be a podcast as well. So this has been recorded on audio and with some decent quality. So Billy and Jose, any final words?
Well, I want to introduce Carlos Manuel and have him speak briefly about Costa Rica, because he's going to be our project manager there, and Costa Rica is going to play a big part in
that is
Arkana's
nice.
expansion.
That's a nice surprise. Tell us a little bit more about who he is before we hear from him.
Carlos Manuel, I met him a few years ago. He was my customer when we were doing hotels in Mexico. He was project manager for those nice properties. And now Arkana became his customer in a way. So he's the project manager. And he was here recently with Daniela, his wife. And much of his trip was about how can we take all these lessons, integration, into the conception of the new project. So I think his take is going to be interesting.
Carlos, can you unmute? Are you here?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Carlos Manuel. She's my wife, Daniela. And we just came back from the jungle in the Amazon 2 weeks ago. And as Jose said, I am currently just managing all the tasks for this upcoming real estate project, which is now a reality. It's almost 90-acre property in Costa Rica, Nuevo Tilarán, with outstanding views to a lake that was settled there. And this is just a continuous invitation from José's, I call him Pepe, from José's generosity to just trying to bringing me and also my family to this world, to this fascinating world that changes lives. it changes lives, as Billy reminds us often throughout the retreat, one heart at a time. So I met Pepe almost 10 years ago, and our relationship has evolved to the point that I shared, and I have like literally written him down. Like, we share the same dream. You have shared with me enough information. You have shown me enough generosity. My gratitude is so much that I would put my work to service to make Arkana, Costa Rica, Peru, Mexico, the true spotlight that it deserves. Because speaking about integration, these past 2 weeks ever since we came back have been hell, at least for me. We've been through shit, like, you name it, family wise, money wise. It's like the universe like really was like, oh, you guys want to see what we're gonna bring you down. And especially through the last week, ever since we came back, as Jose mentioned, my intent for the retreat was how to bring back all these information and downloads that you get, and not forgetting, right? And so as we are planning a facility, a campus for a retreat facility, I mentioned, I heard, and my soul blossoms, you're gonna need a new facility, a bigger facility. Well, it's already on the making, people. And it has a conception that we wanna harness and put together all the learnings and the integration knowledge that we have through these exercises, and making it part of the design process, of the creative process of the entire facility. I think one of the most outstanding long vision plans is to create an integration village, for people, like, they're not in the intensity of the retreat, which can be overwhelming sometimes, but then you're still like these layers that Jose was telling you about, this layers, they don't not necessarily are ready to go back fully into your day-to-day world, right? So it's like a space in between that will help you just go at your own pace. And lastly, the last thing I want to say about the Costa Rica project, it's that it's not only going to provide a community with residential units or a bigger facility for the retreats or the integration village. It's just an extension of the narrative that has been building in Arkana, in Jungle, in Valle Sagrado, in Mérida, in Chambalante, all the new ventures that Jose and Bill are planning with the Valle de Bravo projects. It's just these putting together, sure that there's cohesiveness, that there's a common denominator, and that are the Arkana ways, the pillars, the true connection to the Shipibo community. And most importantly, in my own personal experience this time, it's my fourth, fifth time around doing ayahuasca retreat, but also ceremonies, I'm sorry. And this is the first time that I have experienced the power of combining Sapo medicine with a maestro, just like Jose is, just like Billy is, just going through obstacles that are so difficult to in order to truly call the process respectful of the sourcing, with a true sense of place. And the combination with the Shipibo tradition and the Arkana and the Arkana way of conducting ayahuasca ceremonies, those two things combined, a lot of journaling and a lot of help from these exercises, which I think, and Jose and Billy, again, thank you for the generosity of the time, for sharing these virtual space that connects us worldwide. Last 2 weeks have been the best 2 weeks in my life and the worst 2 weeks in my life at the same time. And that's how you go through it, because as Shantanu once told us last time we were there, there's always something more. you're never gonna end. So I am just, we just finished watching a series that's in a platform worldwide. It's a Spanish series called La Mesías. And I can understand now how this concept of integration, it's already there. It's already resonating. Arkana does it in a very special way, and we are growing. The Costa Rica project, it's an extension of this intention of building up what the integration process is about. And I love to see how in more universal media, it's being visual, there's visualization to that, right? So before Billy rings the bell to me, I just wanted to say that this is a really nice reminder that we are not alone in the process. And through the integration, regardless what works best for someone, just having this constant reminder and knowing that there's backup from your peers, from your colleagues, from the people that you share the space with, and these very intense emotions, there's people working already on making this a bigger message that goes, like Pepe mentioned, to more, the more the merrier, right? So thank you.
Well, all I'm thinking right now is things just got real. I don't know how, I mean, Jose, you just have this knack of, just organically having things unfold and having people like Carlos Manuel. I mean, it makes sense, that this guy is involved. And Carlos, I've never met you before. So I just want to say to you on behalf of everybody, I'll speak on behalf of everybody, that whatever you're going through, you're not alone. So just know that this is a family, and outside of this whole mastermind thing, you've just adopted a very large family that would love to help you if you need help. Billy?
I'll say two things, which is one is super simple, which is my invitation would be to get everybody to take this concept of love or serval and integrate that into your way of thinking, integrate that into your way of being and expressing of being of service, love or serval. And obviously, if anybody wants to integrate, you can get in touch with me already, or Jose or Arkana, and we can put you in touch with Shantanu and Valeria.
Love and appreciate everybody. And Jose and Billy, thank you guys so much for creating this space for us to gather, to expand, to continue doing the work. Thank you so much, Universe and Creator, for working through Jose and Billy to allow us to continue this process. I love the way Valeria just reminded us that at its core, when everything's stripped away, all that's left is love. So once we start chipping everything away in this process, there's going to be a lot more love in the world. So can't see that as a bad thing. So love and appreciate everybody. We will. Hey, Billy, do you want to just share before we close out? Where should everybody be staying in tune for, updates, when our next meeting is and everything? What would you say is the best place for people to just keep their finger on the pulse?
I would say, the Instagram, Friends of Arkana Facebook page is a good one. And also to join the WhatsApp community. If you haven't, I can send the link for that to all of the groups that I'm a part of, which is obviously many. So I'll send that. If you're not already a member of it, you can join that. And that's
It's on the general email.
And we're also going to start sending a general email. So we're going to email everybody as well before these calls as we expand the community.
And what I'll say to everybody, just for anybody that might be technologically challenged or anything like that, If you follow the Arkana Facebook page, you'll always know what's going on. There'll always be an announcement there. So I would just, if you want to keep it simple, start there. And then for those of you that are expanding and using some of these other platforms, just reach out. You know, one of the things you'll see is everybody here is in loving service. So they'll always be there to help you. So love and appreciate you all. Till the next time, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And I hope that you got a lot of value from this. I sure did. Bye-bye, everyone.
See you guys.